get by. It resides between my eyes. Walk through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Aleric Heck. He runs AdOutreach.com and KeywordSearch.com, and we're going to get into those in a second. But Aleric, I always like to mention other episodes people should check out of the podcast. Since this is part of the Top Agency series, I had Jason Swank. Jason Swank built up his agency to over 8 figures, and he sold it. And then he started a group that is actually buying up agencies. Also, he runs a group that coaches agencies. Todd Taskey is another one. He kind of pairs, he's interesting. You'll like his episodes. He has a Second Bite podcast. He will take agency, introduce them to private equity for selling. And sometimes people make more on the second bite than they do on the first, because when the private equity sells again, they make more because they roll equity into the private equity company. So it's really interesting. He has agencies that have sold their companies on there talking about how it worked. And that's the Second Bite podcast. Kevin Hurrigan's another one, runs Spinutech. He's run an agency since 1995. So we talked about the evolution of the agency. Like we're going to talk about with Aleric, actually, he has a software company now on the back of his agency. Actually, MailChimp started as an agency and then created MailChimp. I think they sold for over $1 billion. I don't remember. So hopefully that's for you, Aleric, with keyword search. Brian Kurtz is another one I've had on a couple times. Aleric actually spoke to Brian Kurtz's group. And Brian talks about the lessons learned from sending over 1.3 billion pieces of direct mail and helping Boardroom grow to over $150 million. And so Aleric really is, the two powerful things, direct response and video, right? And that's what you do. You help people grow with that. Ron Popeil, the king of infomercials, also check that episode out. That is also kind of the power of video and direct response. But before I formally introduce Aleric and what he does, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. And at Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect to their Dream 100 relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We actually are an easy button for you to launch and run your podcast. So we do strategy, full strategy, accountability, and full execution. We call ourselves kind of the magic elves that work in the background and make it look easy for the host and the company. For me, Aleric, I'm, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. And I found no better way than to profile the people and companies I most admire on this planet over the past decade and share with the world what they're working on. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should. If you have questions, you can go to rise25.com. And I'm excited to introduce Aleric Heck. He's a YouTube ads expert and founder of AdOutreach, and as well as KeywordSearch.com. And over the last 7 years, Aleric has taught thousands of entrepreneurs and business owners how to grow and scale their business using laser-targeted YouTube ads. And collectively, him and his team have helped clients generate over $200 million in sales from YouTube ads and scaled his own business to over 8 figures. That's his agency business. He has a separate business where he actually started, learned his chops, right? You looked about 5 years old, Aleric, in the video. So you must have been doing it for years, but he actually started his own YouTube channel and started growing it and wanted to scale his own YouTube channel. So he's eaten his own dog food, growing that business. He still has that business, that YouTube channel. But he has scaled his own business to over 8 figures, the agency. He's also created, which we'll talk about, KeywordSearch.com that helps people supercharge their ad audiences with AI. Aleric, this is where I stop talking. You do most of the talking, but thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeremy. I'm so excited to dive in. Really appreciate that as well. And definitely excited to dive into the journey and every step along the way. Well, it wasn't quite 5 when I started out that YouTube channel, but I was 12, so pretty young. It was back in 2009, and started from an early age and just kind of went from there.
Yeah, I mean, that's really where you kind of cut your teeth in it. But talk just for a second about a little bit more about AdOutreach and what you do there, and then we'll talk about keyword search.
Absolutely. So in terms of AdOutreach, what we do is we help businesses use laser-targeted YouTube ads to generate consistent leads and consistent sales. And so essentially what we found is that value-driven video marketing performs the best on YouTube, because what you can do is really create true value on the ad and reach people when they're in what we call a learner's mindset. People are on YouTube to learn, either to be entertained or to learn. You want to reach the people that are looking to learn, and then we can reach them at the perfect time by crafting a value-driven video ad and then reaching them using AI targeting. And we'll get into keyword search in a second, but using some of the software that we built, we can actually make sure that we reach the right people. And so this is essentially what we built with AdOutreach. We scaled to 8 figures, landed number 60 on the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing companies last year. So really exciting. And we've got a great team. We're here in Austin, Texas. And we work, again, like with a wide variety of clients. I know you're showing some of that here as well. And then on the keyword search side, what we saw is we were having all these clients coming in. And originally, we just built this specifically for our clients, but we've since expanded to have this be really its own company. And what we do is we help businesses on the keyword search side use AI to find the perfect audiences to target their ads with YouTube and Google ads. And so essentially keywordsearch.com, it started out as mostly keyword research for YouTube. And so you could find all the best audience or best keywords to target with your YouTube ads. But as YouTube evolved and also as AI evolved, we realized that there was an opportunity to help people use AI to target ad audiences. And if you're familiar with Google and YouTube and media buying, you know that everything is shifting to audiences these days. So essentially, these audiences are the ability to go and target people based on their interests, what they're looking up on Google, on YouTube, websites that they're going on. And so what you can do is use AI with this tool to actually pinpoint the exact right people you want to reach based on what they're looking up. And this tool just makes it easy. Just type some details about your business. We do all the heavy lifting using AI and our algorithm to find how to reach that audience with your ad platforms.
Let's talk about this. I mean, this is a big decision to make, Aleric, to have another company, right? It shifts focus. Yes. Also, probably some of your secret weapons are baked into this software. So what made you decide to release it to the public?
Yeah, so it's a really great question. And what I would say is I actually think it's a really valuable lesson for different entrepreneurs to look at is always really innovating. And if you're not the one who disrupts yourself, then someone else is going to do it for you. And I think that's really the mentality that I had when I created keyword search, because when I saw originally it was a tool we kept more private, right? And so you're kind of alluding to that. We built it originally so that we had a tool that did the heavy lifting for targeting, and we just had it for clients. And that's what it was for, we launched keyword search a couple of years ago, started working on it a little bit more than that, around maybe 3 years ago. But we launched it 2 years ago, and it was just mostly to our clients. And about 9 months ago is when we decided to actually branch off and make it really its own business and really scale and grow with the AI element. But originally we built it because we just needed the tool, right? We were spending all this time on manual keyword research, and I wanted a tool. And I actually went out and I saw there were some existing tools in the marketplace. I actually tried to acquire a few of them when they turned out they weren't for sale. And I had some ideas for how to improve them anyway. So I was going to acquire and improve. That didn't end up happening. And so I got connected with my CTO, Greg, who's fantastic. And so we actually ended up building keyword search from scratch. And originally it was to target all the different keywords on YouTube. But then as AI rolled out, we saw an opportunity to use AI to actually go in and build out these audiences and do it in minutes. So we ran a study, the average time it takes for somebody to go from typing in details about their business to having an audience synced with Google Ads, because they're direct Google Ads integration for YouTube or Google search ads. And in the future, we're looking at other platforms potentially. But for the direct syncing, 2.6 minutes, which is pretty remarkable. It used to take hours to build these types of audiences or campaigns or do all the research. And so now it's compressed. But the reason, to answer your question, why do this, is I still have, of course, and the core focus is still ad outreach. But with keyword search, there's an opportunity to use AI to help clients and even help other people or agencies actually target their ads. And it's almost like we can build the tool, and this can create its own momentum and growth. And so I actually see a big opportunity for keyword search to potentially even eclipse, that of what we're doing in ad outreach, because of its ability as a software to go in and target the right people. Now, obviously, it's not at that point yet, but I think there's really opportunities to grow it. And if we didn't build this, somebody else would build it and probably not build it as well. So we wanted to come in and actually build it better using our years and years of knowledge around YouTube ads and Google ads, and also using our team of developers to actually go and build this up. And so that's what we ended up doing. And now we're taking it out to the masses so that, again, people might come over here. There might be clients on the consulting side, just different ways to help people improve their ads.
And we'll talk about that because I want to know what you saw with these other things that didn't have exactly what you needed and what you need to actually bake in to improve. So we'll talk about that in a second. But, I'd love to hear a couple things on, how you grew your agency. And one of the things which relates to this is you do this kind of hacking or innovation day. And I'd love for you to share that so other agencies can think about how they can implement the same thing.
Oh, that's great. So we do these hackathon and innovation days. And what we like to do, and we do these, a few times a year, always at the end of each year, right? Going into the next year. And sometimes depending on if we want to add new innovation or we have a certain either thing that we're looking to solve or opportunity we're looking to uncover, we might do it before a quarter. We basically do it before a big planning session that we're going to have as executives in the company, either to plan for a new year, always do it before the year, or if there's a particular quarter where we know that we want to add some extra innovation here. Sometimes going into quarters, we already kind of have a game plan built out, just depends. But essentially what we do is we run these hackathons, and essentially they're innovation days. And I originally got this idea from something that HubSpot actually does. They run these hackathons and innovation days. And what we ended up doing is we created our own flavor of it, where essentially we take a half day, and we like to do it on a Friday. So people have and we encourage everybody to wrap up all their tasks, that morning. And we basically take that full session from the afternoon all the way, to the end of the day. And sometimes we go longer. We really just dive deep into it. But essentially, we take that half a day and we create a hackathon around ideas. And so essentially what we want to do is nothing's off the table. Everybody has ideas to share. We bring the whole team together. And this is everybody. This is, our client success team. These are our internal marketing teams and our media buyers and our ad strategists. And also our sales team, right, as well. Like they're on the front lines talking with people. We bring in like all of the different team members from AdOutreach. We bring them all together. And there's two ways we do it. One, sometimes we have a prompt. So if there's actually a challenge or an opportunity that we're looking to solve or create, then we'll say, hey, this is the prompt. Or we'll just say the prompt is innovation. And usually at the end of the year, we'll do more general innovation. Like what is a way that we can innovate what we're doing, that we can build something new or solve a challenge or whatever it happens to be. And so what we want to do is have everybody present ideas. So we go around, everybody has a minute to share any idea they have. It could be, total wild idea. Nothing's off limits, right? There's no, it's just yes and right now. And so what we want to do is we want to go in and it's like, if you look at like Duncan Wardle and like Disney, like they talk about some of that as well, like the yes and, right? Really incubating ideas. And so essentially we go around the room, everybody shares their ideas that they have. And there's different ideas. Like people have ideas for whole new initiatives or how to change something that already exists. And so they all share ideas in a minute. And then what we do is we like to break it up into about teams of 3 to 4 to work on ideas. So we have everybody vote for a few ideas that they could potentially see themselves joining as a team, their own, and then a few others. And we make it very clear, this isn't to say that, we're not trying to discourage ideas that maybe don't get as many votes, but we're looking at which ones we want to, potentially move forward with this innovation day. So every idea is really good, but what we want to do is we want to find the ones that we want to work on. And so we find the top ideas, maybe there's 8, 10, 12 ideas. We break them out into teams, 3 to 4, whatever happens to be. And then those teams, they'll go off, and we have a hybrid. So we've got an office here in Austin, but we also have the majority of our team is spread out. and remote. And so what they'll do is they'll spread out either here in the office and then virtually, and they'll work on these different ideas, and they'll spend at least 3 hours really crafting, okay, what does this idea look like? Let's map it out, let's build it out, and then some way to present it. So whether that be, some people will share a doc, some people will do a slide deck, some people will just actually mock something up or, design something. And then we do a presentation at the end where each team has, 5 minutes to present, 5 minutes for questions. And that's when they can present everything that they've done to us. But here's the great thing. People that wouldn't normally work together, they'll work together. So somebody from our operations team will work with somebody from our sales team and our marketing team, and they'll come together and solve a problem or create a new idea. And it's also the idea that they wanted to do, because these teams are formed based on, who wants to go where. And so we've had, really good ideas and really great ideas that have come out of this. So we've had new elements of different things in our business and different changes that we've made that have come from these hackathons, because they'll present it, and then we, as our executive team, will hear that, and we'll go through and again, similarly, we do, we have an innovative kind of prize to a couple top teams, but at the same time, all the ideas we want to encourage and let them know. Just having an idea, just sharing an idea, going through it is really valuable to keep that innovation culture. But what I found is those ideas tend to continue after the innovation day and the hackathon, because what they'll do is people will now have in their heads two things. One, that idea. So maybe they'll keep championing that. That could become a team that we create internally to actually push that forward, which we've done several times. But in addition to that, it makes people realize I can come up with an idea and I can actually innovate, and my ideas can be heard, and it gives an opportunity for that, but it also creates more innovation consistently as well. So highly recommend it. I know that was pretty detailed, but
no,
hackathons
that's
are very
fantastic.
valuable.
And it becomes ingrained in the culture and the mindset that they can keep and continue to innovate. I want to talk about some of the few things that have come out of it. And actually, you did some of this in college, even some of the hackathons, right? So when you look back over the innovation hackathons, what has come out of it that you remember?
Yeah. So there have been a few really, and there's actually been a lot of things. It's funny because some of the many of the things we've actually implemented. So it's you can trace back and one is one of the ways that we work with clients and like a kind of an iteration of how we've done things is a concept around a fractional media buyer, where essentially it's a little bit different than what you would think of with a classic kind of agency, where we essentially have there's this concept and I was introduced to it because we have our accountants have like a fractional CFO service, right, where it's kind of like you have this CFO that comes in. There's also services that do fractional like CMO, like market, and that's not necessarily what this is. But a fractional media buyer is a little bit different than an agency in that you can actually have somebody that is more interconnected with your existing team, but they're a part of, our company, for instance, right? And so essentially one of the problems that a lot of agencies face is kind of the silo effect, where it's like, hey, we're the company, you're like an agency over here, and they're not really a lot of meshing between the two. And so the idea with the fractional media buyers, can you get somebody that like can assimilate with elements of their team and actually work with them and still be employed by us and working on several different accounts, but also working closer with that company. And so that's an idea that really kind of got innovated from one of these hackathons. Other ideas is events and office days. So the way that we build some of our office days, where we have clients come out to our offices here in Austin, and there's certain, as many businesses do, we have different tiers. And so we have a tier of clients that can come out here to our offices in Austin, and we essentially have a full office day where we work on their business that day, not just with ads, but also in other elements too. Like, let's bring our top funnel designers out here. Let's go and see what we can do to help them with their funnel, with their copywriting. Let's actually dive into their ads in person, which is a totally different experience, and go over, okay, here's what we're seeing. And really working closely with them here. and creating this environment that's not like, and we were running before kind of these bigger events, right? That
you did one in
get
Cancun,
100 people.
I think, right?
What was that?
Cancun was an example. You did one in
Yeah,
Cancun?
so Cancun's an example of when we actually did more of this style, the office day style. But we had some bigger events, mostly here in Austin, where you'd get like 100 people, 150, so, and with that, it's harder to dive deeper with individual clients. And so one thing that we were able to do at these office days is we'll get more, anywhere, and it depends on at the event, which one, but anywhere from a dozen, which, to like 2 or 3 dozen clients in a room, which is a more intimate feeling. We have our team come out here, and even the remote team members, and we work hands-on with them to help them see those breakthroughs. They get to interact with people that they usually just talk with on Zoom. And they also get to have our whole kind of team here, essentially working with them. And same thing we do each year. We do a destination mastermind version of that, and essentially we do these office days, but that's more of a destination day, right? And so we dive in and we go there, and we're actually working on their business, and then also in paradise. So we enjoy that as well. And so those are a few of the things, but there's also other things that maybe don't come to mind immediately, like on the spot, but they're things that just get integrated in, right? So they might not even be the biggest, idea like some of those, but there are things that actually just get added in. And then there's other things too, where there's just add angles. There's, there's ways that we can improve different things, like elements of a sales process or a client process. Another one was a seamless client onboarding, right? So essentially bringing clients in, having our, account managers and client success team members recording a video when the new client comes in, responding to an email. So the email from the advisor, the person that enrolls them, they send an email with a video, Loom intro with a certain time frame. They send, and it's just this better handoff experience. And it's the type of thing that's maybe not a groundbreaking thing, but it can actually create a really big impact. Is the idea of actually sending a Loom video same day as somebody enrolls in the program, to let them know, hey, I'm so excited to speak with you. I'm your, client success, manager. I'm going to be working with you. I heard X, Y, and Z from and so it's a seamless handoff instead of this kind of weird 2 to 3 day window or whatever it is between enrolling and getting on that, initial call. Whenever that calendars line up for that, it just helps put a face to the name, and it's a seamless transition.
I want to hit on that for a second, which is, what are the things you've discovered from a seamless onboarding? I do have to say that, John, my business partner, has interacted with your team. He said your team is amazing with follow-up, and not in like an overbearing way, from email to phone to text. So I imagine, the onboarding process, you've dialed it in over the years. What does that look like?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And there's different ways that we work with clients too. So like I mentioned, the fractional media buyer, we also have a consulting element, and in terms of what we do. So it's less traditional agency for the bulk of our clients, because we're helping train people in YouTube ads. We're working typically with the business owners and or like at smaller companies, right? So entrepreneurs, or their marketing director, or their media buyers, just depending on the size of the company, right? So like smaller companies, we might be working with them or their operator. Medium-sized companies, maybe we're working with their marketing director or marketing person. And then at larger companies, we're working kind of directly with their media buyers. And then we have our fractional media buyer offer as well, which is kind of more like an agency where we can come in and essentially work at a higher level, running the ads for our clients and having our person come in. And that's kind of the evolution, like I mentioned, that came out of one of these hackathons. But essentially, the way, and that's just to explain that it might be slightly different than some people listening who are purely an agency. We kind of shifted over to more mostly consulting, but then also having some of these other elements. Actually over 5 years ago. So first couple of years was more of a classic agency. And then we realized that we would really be able to consult and work with, more clients with our expertise on YouTube. And so our onboarding, the way that it works is we have it down to a science. So I think you kind of alluded to that. When somebody is able to enrolls, What we want to do is make it very clear on that enrollment call. Okay, here are the next steps. I'm going to send an email. I'm going to connect you with, let's say, Levi, who's going to be your client success manager. He's going to be able to hop on a call and walk through everything, go through your onboarding, make sure that we have everything we need to get started. And then after that, and by the way, we're also seeding what the next call is after that. Then after that, you're going to be getting on your script writing call with, and then whoever, let's say Angie, who's going to be able to help you write your YouTube ad script. And that's what we talked about earlier, is that's a really important part of the process before we get your ads launched. And so now we're actually not just talking about the next step, we're talking about the next two steps. Then we have our advisor send an email as soon as possible to that person, including who their client success manager is going to be, and also who their copywriter is going to be as well. And so we include those two on there. So it's kind of the next two steps. And that email will include an introduction. It'll also, and this is really important, include details about that client. Because here's the thing, right? We at our company, we deeply care about our clients. Like, client success is instilled in everything that we do. You also have to show that to clients, right? Because they don't necessarily, yes, they made an enrollment decision. We've gotten to that point. They now trust us. But that's also the point. And as you know, I'm sure, because probably why you asked, where you could potentially lose people if you don't have a seamless process is in those first few days if people have buyer's remorse, especially if you're a growing company and maybe you don't have and we don't have a same day onboarding, right? It can take, usually it's between 1 and 3 days. It's just that, we try to keep it as short as possible, but it depends on calendars, right? And so essentially what we want to do is make that handoff as simple as possible. So we send that email and we include, and this is really important, details about their business. So I'm so excited for so-and-so to work with us because they are, they're a nutrition coach and they have a business here and they've helped so many different people and they're looking to create an impact. And right now they're here, but they're looking to go here. And that's what, we're excited to help them with. And it's just a couple paragraphs about who they are. But what that does is it shows two things. One, it shows the client that the advisor that brought them in really cares, which is true. Like, we really care, but shows that we care, even though, yes, they're being handed off because now the advisor has other people to talk to, new potential people. So it shows that they care and they're transitioning, and it shows them that the onboarding call is going to start. You're going to hit the ground running. Because some people, they're like, okay, why I'm hopping on this onboarding call to just go over the exact same thing I did before. And what we did in the past is we would just transfer everything in HubSpot, right, in our CRM. But clients didn't see that, right? Yeah. So we wanted to
have a 2-hour conversation about them, but they don't see that.
Yes, exactly. And so it basically what we do is they'll send they'll take all the notes. They'll, depending on to your client exactly, they might even have an hour conversation about okay, here's what the strategy is for this person from that advisor to the person. But they won't necessarily know that. And so just having that couple paragraphs, and usually what we'll do, and it depends on, different advisors have different kind of flavors of how they'll do it. But sometimes what they'll say too is I sent more details to Levi, or I had a call with Levi or whatever it is that that's the details for this client. So he has all the information for your call or before your call. And then from there, what we do is Levi in this case would respond with an email and a video. And the email is relatively simple. So great we're looking forward to meeting you. And I'm excited to help you achieve those goals with XYZ company. Record a quick Loom video for you. Looking forward to our call at this time. Then the Loom video is just simply, and it's not something fancy. It's either the webcam or the iPhone or whatever. And it's talking to the name, say, hey, name, so excited to work with you. And, so-and-so advisor has told me all about some of the different details. And I'm looking forward to helping you with this XYZ business, achieve these goals with your YouTube ads. And on our onboarding call, we're going to hit the ground running, go over some of the key things and get you ready for your script writing call. So now we're also seeding the next step. And so then on that onboarding call, then we get them on the script writing call, but then we're also seeding the step after that. And so essentially we're always letting them know, not just what the next step is, but also what's on deck. and making it very clear, and then making the handoff seamless from advisor to their account manager or client success manager to their copywriter, then to their ad strategist, and so on down the line.
Love it. A lot to unpack there, Aleric. A couple things I want to hit on. You mentioned HubSpot. You also mentioned the script writing piece. So I want to talk about, I know you have a lot of videos out there and we could point them to your YouTube channel about the anatomy of the ad, but I have to have you talk about it on this a little bit. And then you mentioned HubSpot, and this was in my mind when I was thinking when you're talking about the hackathons. How do you keep track of all this stuff? So I'd love to hear of your tech stack. You mentioned HubSpot as a CRM. What are some things you use as a company, either communication or keeping track of things, project management, support? Obviously, you do an amazing job just making sure things are in place and things are followed up on. What does your tech stack look like?
Yeah. So I think the four biggest that we have, and I'll talk about the ones other than, because obviously we have to include Zoom in it, but that's kind of a default for a lot of companies these days. So Zoom, of course, but then the three main ones that we really use is HubSpot, and that's for the client management, CRM, the handoff of everything. That's also for our, all of our stats on, from the very first time they touch things with marketing all the way into a client and any ascension that they have, everywhere in between, the whole sales process, all of that's in HubSpot. So that's kind of more of the way that we interact with our clients. Our communication is Slack. We also have communication Slack with clients too, which is a total game changer. If you're doing email communication or, and at one point, or if you're doing a community in a Facebook group, you can get rid of, you can really eliminate all that and just go straight to Slack. Slack is great for communication and great for community. It's really awesome. So Slack for our communication, and more recently over the course of this year, we've rolled that out for communication with clients as well. And not just communication, you can also build community in there too, because you can have shared channels, and you can have those channels be where people can kind of collide. Because if you're at this point, entrepreneurship, right, is one of those things where you thrive by being around like-minded people. And one of the benefits of whether it's consulting or an agency or a program, whatever it is you're surrounded by other people. And so creating that community is an opportunity too. So that's another thing. But that's Slack. And then the other one, and this is one that we absolutely swear by for all of our internal keeping track of everything, things like the hackathons, is Notion. We use Notion all the time. We built out a full company dashboard in Notion. Our operations team loves Notion. We have all of our SOPs in Notion. Loom, I would give a shout out to as well, because we just record quick Loom videos. Those go into Notion. But essentially, in terms of running the company with, obviously we have Zoom, we're on Zoom a lot, but basically it's Slack for communication, HubSpot for all of the stuff with clients and kind of tracking the journey and marketing and sales. And then Notion for all of our SOPs, documentation, kind of operating the business. And that's where we would keep all the things that came out of these hackathons. That would be its own Notion, kind of doc or project. And that's been a big part of it as well. Is we also use Notion for all the task management stuff. We actually recently switched over from Asana, which I do really like Asana, but we wanted to streamline. So we moved that over to Notion. Notion's been adding out a lot more project management features. They have projects tabs. So we found Notion really valuable for that.
Interesting. Yeah, we used to be on Asana as well, and we kind of felt like we kind of hit our upper limit, and we switched to ClickUp. But I didn't realize Notion does a bunch of project management stuff as well.
Yeah, and they've been adding that more recently, and that's been a recent shift away from Asana over the course of this year. But because we've used Notion for SOPs, I do think what I would say is because I know other people that use ClickUp, and so it's actually interesting because Julia's in a few different masterminds around with COOs. So Julia's our COO. She's in a few different of these masterminds and programs. And it seems like the really popular ones are that Asana, but now a lot of people are going over to either ClickUp or Notion, and it's kind of this back and forth. And what I think is ClickUp is going to be better for task management and that stuff. We'll just say that, hopefully Notion will continue to grow that, right? But that said, it might not be as good for docs. I don't really know. I haven't used ClickUp as much, but that's my understanding. Whereas Notion is going to really be amazing for docs and SOPs and all that side of things. And then they're building out more of a robust project management suite, which has been over the course of this year. They rolled out more project management. They have had tasks for a long time, but when they rolled out project management is when we decided to make the shift away from Asana.
I do know a number of companies, they use Notion for docs, and we use more of a suite process for SOPs and things, centralized SOPs, but I've heard good things about Notion in general, like for a lot of uses. So thanks for sharing some of the tech stack. I love that. Let's talk about some of the anatomy of an ad, because you mentioned, there's so many moving pieces when it comes to YouTube ads, and each one, if they're missed, it doesn't work, right? Including the first step, which is the actual script in the video, right? And you have a certain format that you recommend people do. So I'd love for you to talk about that. They could check out more. They can go to AdOutreach.com and check out your blog, and they can also check out your YouTube channel. But talk about the anatomy of the ad itself.
Absolutely. So what we found is a value-driven video ad converts the best. And the reason for that is on YouTube, people are in one of two mindsets, right? They're one of two modes. They're either in entertainment mode, and those aren't necessarily people that we want to reach, or they're in the learner's mindset, right? They're looking to learn on YouTube. And so what we want to do is reach those people that they're in that learning state. They're watching videos to learn, and we want to get in front of them. And so what we want to do is want to create a video that provides value. One of the biggest mistakes people make with YouTube ads is they'll just create a really short ad, like a lot of branded ads, and think that that's going to drive the conversions that they want. But the problem with that is if you just have an ad that says, hey, do you have this problem? Okay, go get my thing. Or they're just talking a little bit about what they have, and it's short and it doesn't provide value, you will get some people to click off and some people to click on your ad, and some people to opt in, but it's not going to be at the rate that you want. And that's because you're not meeting people where they're at. They're looking for value. And so you want to create a value-driven video ad that actually educates, provides value. It's a little bit longer, usually 2 to 3 minutes long. Sometimes it could be a little bit longer than that. Google does recommend less than 3 minutes. That said, we found that even though you might get slightly higher CPMs over 3 minutes, sometimes it actually outweighs that by having more education and creating like a 4 or 5 minute ad. So it depends. I just want to add that little asterisk there. But essentially, you want to create an ad that provides real value and educates. So there's 3 elements. There's a hook, educate, call to action. The hook draws people in, captures their attention, and brings them in. Educate is when you're providing real value. And this is what makes our style of ads different than a lot of what's out there. And something that I really believe in, and we've seen just produce the best results, is providing value on the ads, right? Talking about ways that they can solve their problem, how what your business does, talking about myths that they might have, things that they don't actually need to do, tips, strategies, actually teaching them, and then leading to the call to action at the end. So hook, educate, call to action. There's a few different ways to do hooks. You could do question hooks. So one that worked really well for us in the past is, what if you could ethically hijack your competitor's traffic, send it directly into your own funnel? Well, we'll show you exactly how to do that with YouTube ads, running your ads, in front of videos. Then you can have kind of these polarizing like statement hooks, right? So one that we've used that's probably one of our top performing hooks is YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. Let's face it, Facebook ad costs are going through the roof. Even when you have a great ad, they're almost impossible to scale. But what we found is you can use YouTube ads to get consistent leads and sales and more predictable scalability. We'll walk you through this in this video. And so you can see there that it just polarizes, it gets people to pay attention. Then we talk about what our thesis is. Then we educate. So we go from those different hooks, and there's a few different types of hooks. I'm going to give a free resource at the end that'll walk through some of that too. But then from there, you have the educate section. The educate is where you actually want to provide value. So you want to teach, okay, why is this bad? Especially if you make a claim, like you could solve a problem, or something's better than something else, or something that people didn't know that they could do, you need to provide value and educate. And there's a few different ways to do it. If what you're doing is more information-based or expert-based, then that's pretty simple. You're just teaching a little bit of like what you would be teaching in whatever it is that you're selling. If you have more of a product, or you have a service, or you have a software, maybe that's a demo, or that's walking through like what this does and showing how it solves the problem, and actually illustrating what it is that you're going to be able to get out of either the product, service, or software. And then the call to action at the end is very simple. You just want to get them off of the video and to click off, but you want to have multiple call to actions, and you want to make it very simple and clear what's next. And so one of the biggest things, this is a golden nugget right here. We have found you can actually get a multiple percentage increase in conversions if you show the page, the landing page, at the end of the video that they're going to go to. It's so simple. It seems so obvious, but you can get, and again, it's not going to be a crazy increase, but you can increase like 1, 2, 3% by having a just overlaying at the end. You say, click the link. Here's the phrase that we use. Click the link right here on the screen, and you'll get to a page that looks just like this. All you have to do is fill out your name and email and phone number, and then click submit, and you're going to get full access to my 19-page YouTube ads strategy PDF. It's going to walk you through everything. You're showing the page. You're telling them they're going to get there. You're telling them what they need to do. You're telling them when they click it, they're going to get the thing. And that just makes it a lot easier for that person to visualize themselves doing it. They click the page. Now the page is familiar to them. So they click the link, and you've already told them what they're going to need to fill out, what they're going to get, and shown them what the page looks like. That can actually increase conversion. So hook, educate, call to action. That's the framework for a YouTube ad. Typically, we recommend between 2 and 3 minutes. It can be a little bit longer. Your CPMs might be slightly higher. Over 3 minutes is what YouTube says. That being said, sometimes that can actually pay off, because if you can provide extra value in 4 to 5 minutes and actually get higher conversion rates, you can actually get better results. So even though YouTube will warn you over 3 minutes, sometimes we have a bunch of clients that run, and even some of our own ads, 4 or 5 minute long ads that outperform shorter ones. And that's what we'd recommend.
Like, I love it. I have heard that. I forgot who said it on the podcast before, but actually what helps sell more books is showing the book, which is a similar concept to showing the landing page, right? And it's that familiarity. So when we talk about the hook, educate, call to action, what are some of the different calls to action you see that people test and it works? Because I've seen people do, like you said, a PDF, some kind of information. I've seen people to an actual call, and I've seen people to a webinar, which is further education. And I'm probably missing a bunch on there. But what have you found that people should think about when creating that call to action?
So we found that, and that's a really great question. What we found is usually a VSL. We call it also a video convert. We have our own kind of variation, like a video conversion funnel, essentially a VSL style funnel that has some kind of video sales letter, video that provides extra value, that shows them what they're going to get, especially if you're selling something more education or information based. But even if you're selling, higher end products or services, running from a video to a video is really powerful. So YouTube video to video. Now, what we've also found is lead magnets are almost staging a comeback right now. And I think you'll find this really interesting, because it's one of those things where a few years ago, if I was on, the podcast, I would have said like, hey, definitely do these VSLs. But what we're seeing is sometimes what's old is new again. And we're seeing that people love the PDF. And actually, you say holding it is valuable with the book. I have this PDF. I literally am flipping through, like in one of my videos where I'm advertising PDF, and I have other ones where I talk about our video trainings, right? But when I'm advertising the PDF and I'm saying like 19-page PDF, walks you through step by step how our YouTube ad strategy works. There's no fluff. Take a look here. Here's our exact strategy, and I want to give it to you for free. We're finding that works really well when it's paired with what I call the Trojan horse PDF. Because what do I want to get people to do? I actually want to get them to watch a video, because I know I'm compelling on video. And I also know they're in video consumption mindset. That said, what we're seeing right now is you can sometimes get cheaper cost per lead to offer a tangible, PDF, right, than maybe getting the video sign up directly. So what we're doing, but still the video sign up directly is performing quite well. So I don't want to dissuade anybody from doing that. But sometimes with PDFs, it's just kind of this, there's cycles, right? And right now people seem to be really excited about getting something tangible and something, kind of easy to consume. And so if we can get that lower cost lead to get that PDF, but still, maintaining quality and targeting the right people, well, once they get it, what we can do is we can say, great, your PDF is on its way to your email inbox. And we do set up a 5-minute delay, which it will be sent pretty quickly, but we do 5 minutes. The reason for that, we say, while you wait, here's the video version of our PDF. And then it's just our exact same video training. And again, what we find is the majority of the people will start playing that video. And then of course, there's a good amount of people that stick until the end, and then that video converts them. But here's the reason I think this works so well is we have 3 elements. They opt in for the PDF, which after 5 minutes will be sent to their email. So they have the PDF waiting for them. They immediately get access to watch the training, and we have their phone number. So our team is also going to be texting them if they don't do anything within 30 minutes or an hour. We actually found that waiting, and you talked about like how our team is good at follow-up, but we're also not overbearing. You want to wait for people to go through a funnel. You don't want to. So some people they'll text right as the opt-in. And I know some people are teaching that. I'll actually go counter to that, because we tried it. We try all the different things. And for some businesses, if you're more, I think maybe for like a service-based business, maybe this makes more sense, is like speed to lead. But what we found is in more education style or agency style or consulting style or program or coaching, you want to do is give people some time to consume the thing that they signed up for before almost distracting them with a text or a call. But you do want to do the text and call as soon as possible after what we call the possible window for them to take action on their own. So if it's a 15-minute training video and they get a PDF, we might have a 30-minute or an hour delay. I think our delays are between 30 minutes and 2 hours. We have a webinar that we run too, and that's a little longer of a delay before we actually start texting and calling people.
Aleric, I have one last question. First of all, thank you. There's so much more we didn't cover, but there's so much that you did cover. So I want to encourage people to check out AdOutreach.com and keywordsearch.com to learn more. And I know you have some a URL people can check out and for a special gift. So I want you to talk about that. But the last question I had was on mentors. And I know we got to run in a minute, but I know that there's a couple things that have created big pivotal moments in your business. And one of them has been mentorship and masterminds. And you mentioned ClickFunnels. I'd love for you to just talk about a few mentors. It could be personal mentors or distant mentors, just people you've learned from that have helped you get to where you're at. And then I'd love for you to share where people can learn more.
Oh yeah, that's really great. And I think that I'll talk about 3 main mentors that I've had, and I've had way more than that. So it would be kind of, it would be too long to talk about everybody. And so I'm very appreciative and grateful to all the different mentors. Mentorship is so valuable. An early mentor that I had, or a couple of mentors that I had, were Chris and Taylor. They had a business, Traffic and Funnels, and that was kind of one of the first mastermind mentorship programs that I enrolled in and joined. And they really helped open my eyes to the world of of businesses, services, consulting, agencies, this whole area. I remember when I first signed up for ClickFunnels, right? And I went to HubSpot inbound, right? So I've been in the HubSpot ecosystem. I'm originally from Massachusetts, from Boston, the Boston area. And so HubSpot's really big over there. So I remember going to HubSpot inbound in Boston in 2016. I discovered ClickFunnels. I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I do ClickFunnels for really an agency or services business? And that's when I found them, Chris and Taylor. So they mentored me kind of early on in that area. Then I've gotten some great mentorship from Roland Frazier. He's fantastic. He actually helped inspire what I ended up doing with keyword search. So originally, and he's really big in mergers and acquisitions and things like that. He was originally helping me potentially acquire one of these keyword research tools for YouTube. That said, when that didn't end up working out, I was able to talk with him, and there's concept of building a bolt-on business and making keyword search actually a separate business, but actually powered and empowered by what we're doing at AdOutreach. And then more recently, I've been working really closely with Alex Sharfin. He's here in Austin, and he's the mentor I'm probably working the most closely with right now, as I really build out more of the operational components of what we're doing here and making sure that we're really building a business that is designed to last and designed to really grow and has all the right SOPs, all the right pieces, all the right elements in place to not just be a business that, just kind of grows very quickly, but a business that can also build in all the pieces to continue to ensure that all of the boxes get checked and our team is doing everything, and making sure that we have all the right pieces in place, and really kind of taking it to that next level of business that can really set up that long-term sustainable growth and without kind of, sometimes with entrepreneurial businesses, there's like, oh, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to launch this. There has to be systems in place. And that's what Alex has really helped with as well. So those are just a few of the mentors. I've had a lot of mentors along the way.
Aleric, thanks for sharing your journey, for your knowledge. Where should we point people towards? I know there was a special place you wanted to mention.
Yes. So I have a gift for anybody who's listening or watching. You can go to adoutreach.com/gift. And what that will do is you'll be able to get the full 19-page YouTube ad strategy PDF completely for free. It walks you through step-by-step all the different ways to actually script out an ad, how to set up the ads, the different types of audiences, the targeting, the whole thing. You can go to adoutreach.com/gift. And that's adoutreach.com/gift. And you can get that free gift with the PDF.
Awesome. Aleric, thanks. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.